You are about to hear the replay of a clubhouse room I did a few minutes ago, where I am teaching something that I have been working on unpacking and explaining in an eloquent, elegant way for about 5 years. I feel like this clubhouse room is one of the best presentations I've given, if I do say so myself, because I've gotten a lot of clarity about how to help people understand what protocol to use, what script to choose, or if I should use a script. Should I put a person in a trance? Should I use conversational hypnosis? And here's a bonus. If you're not a hypnotist, or if you're brand new to hypnosis, or if you have zero interest in hypnosis, this topic can still apply to you, as it shows you why a person is able to change when they change, and how you can plug this clear step-by-step formula in to experience change yourself or guide another person to change. I hope you enjoy this recording of a clubhouse room. It's audio only, but you can just listen and enjoy the heck out of it. Topic of today's room is talking about the best style of hypnosis. And in the question I received, I was asked about interactive versus non-interactive hypnosis. And I asked her for an explanation. By the way, if at any time any of you wants to raise your hand and come up onto the stage, I know some of you are new to Clubhouse, feel free to raise your hand and we can have a conversation, especially once I've kind of presented this. If you have any questions as I go, let me know. But I asked her to talk a little bit more about what that meant to her, because I'm actually not familiar with the terms interactive versus non-interactive, and this really shows my my naivety. I don't know if that's the right word to use when it comes to hypnosis. I'm kind of a new hypnotist, you guys. I've been doing this for 5 years now. And when I started doing hypnosis, I was freshly trained. Like, I had just completed Mike Mandel's course in MMHA, in the Mike Mandel Hypnosis Academy, and I did not feel ready. And I thought, if I wait to feel ready, and this is something I had seen over and over and over again, that I think hypnotherapists, we kind of do this thing where we want to keep getting certification after certification. We're not really sure, if we're doing it right. And my goal with this room today is to help you understand how to do it, quote, right, why change works when it works, and how you can choose if you want to do interactive, non-interactive, or any other style of hypnosis, take any other approach. There's conversational and deep trance hypnosis. There's so many different methods to choose from. And so my goal with this room is to equip you with the confidence so that even if a person was brand new to hypnosis and had no hypnotic training, that by the end of this room, you would understand the principles underneath why it works when it works, in a way that equip you to facilitate change for others, even if you're not a hypnotist yet. That statement would really make hypnosis trainers angry. In fact, I have actually been uninvited to speak at a hypnosis conference because they found out that I had done a training with Freddie Jacquin that gave people a certification after 2 days. And they said that there's no way you can certify in hypnosis in 2 days. So I'm not going to certify anyone, but my goal is to help you understand the principles so that you realize you are ready. We're going to jump in from there. So the 3 points that I want to call your attention to, if you happen to be taking notes, the 3 things I'd like you to write down are rapport, RAPPORT, intention, and prestige. And this word prestige, I'm going to start there because I learned this from Mike Mandel. And I remember the first time he talked about prestige, thinking, wow, that is like a really big word. Like, if a person has prestige, it's like when I picture a person who has prestige walking into the room, it's like they have this air of confidence about them, this air of like, I know who I am, I know my worth, and your life is going to be better because I'm in it. It's almost like, to me, that what you would observe if you were in the presence of a king or a queen. And so the reason it's important for a person, a hypnotherapist, to step into the role of prestige, and this is not
I'm not talking about fake it till you make it. I'm talking about entering a hypnosis session with this beautiful confidence, this beautiful air of authority that allows the person who's there with you to think, oh, this is going to happen. I know this is going to happen because they can see it in your eyes. When I very first started doing hypnosis, I knew that it was important for me to show up in this way, and I knew that I didn't feel this way. And I did feel like I was faking it, and I have since understood that if you can take on a characteristic as if it's your own, it means that it is a characteristic that's available to you. So if you've ever felt a feeling of authority in any aspect of your life, if you've ever been really confident that you knew the answer to something in any area of your life, if there's something you're really good at and you feel confident doing that thing, that means that confidence is an aspect of your personality. And when you simply choose to step into that confidence, even if underneath your knees are shaking and your confidence is quaking, if you adjust your 3 Bs, and I'll talk about that in a moment, if you adjust your 3 Bs to match the 3 Bs of confidence, you can show up with that air of prestige during your session. And this can be during an informal conversation, during deep trance work, in any context. If you have this confidence, it comes across. So I want to talk quickly about the 3 Bs, and I apologize to those of you who have heard me say it over and over. The first time I presented this was at HypnoThoughts, and it was an hour-long conversation, an hour-long presentation, and I felt like I could barely squeeze it in that hour. And now I feel like I can talk about it in about 1 or 2 minutes and turn some light bulbs on for people. In my opinion, changing your 3 Bs is the most rapid form of self-hypnosis in the universe. And that first B is body language. The second B is breathing. And the third B is belief. And that might seem like a big, scary thing, but all beliefs is recycled self-talk. It's what we're saying to ourselves in our mind, or the pictures we're making based on what we're thinking when we are in a certain body language and breathing pattern. So if you've ever tried affirmations and they haven't worked, it's likely because you weren't changing your other 2 Bs. So if you picture a person, their head is down, their shoulders are slumped, their breathing is shallow, and they're just feeling really down, and they say, today's going to be a wonderful day. I can do this. Everything's going to be okay. The body is not going to believe you. And I believe that the body is the unconscious mind. What we're doing with our body reflects what's happening on an unconscious level. So when you shift your body language, and if you'd all do this with me really quickly, imagine that a magic string is pulling you up from the top of your head, and it's allowing you to sit or stand a little bit straighter, but in a really pleasant, comfortable way. So the rest of your body is just relaxed and loose and limp, almost like a marionette on a string. So your shoulders are relaxed. And now lift your head just ever so slightly and comfortably so that your chin is slightly elevated, and look up. Because when you look up, remember, if the body is the unconscious mind, when you look up, it sends a signal of optimism to the brain and body. And now I invite you to smile so big that the corners of your eyes crinkle up. I don't know if you can hear the smile in my voice because I'm doing this with you. And outstretch your arms as if you are just celebrating and maybe basking in the sun. And now take a deep breath from low in the belly and let it out with a long, slow exhale. And just think to yourself, I am here. And as you smile big, think something amazing is about to happen. And then you can go ahead and just relax. Although I recommend staying in this posture, in a soft, upright posture, because it really does tell the body something good is going to happen. And that tunes the reticular activating system of the mind to look for something good. So if you go into a session with a client, whether it's a one-on-one, and I do group sessions, so I teach people about group sessions. When you go into that setting, if you adjust your 3 Bs to match the 3 Bs of confidence, and you stop saying to yourself, because this is so often what that third B is for baby hypnotists, what if it doesn't work? What if I choose the wrong technique? What if I miss something? What if I skip something? Those what ifs literally tune the unconscious mind to create those problems, because what we focus on, we attract what we focus on. So if you just start to shift and say, what if this goes amazing? What if they walk away with complete freedom? What if I get an email from them in a week saying this changed my life? And you start to change your what ifs, everything shifts. And that can be a really good way, if the idea of saying, I am confident this is going to change their life feels like too much, if you stick a what if on the front, it still has the same power, but it's a little bit easier for you to step into that what if possibility. So the first ingredient when it comes to affecting change in someone's life is to show up with prestige, show up with confidence, and start imagining the person or people you're working with receiving an incredible transformation. So that second ingredient is rapport, and that's just if the person you're working with knows, like, and trusts you. And there have been white paper studies done on this that says the number one indicator that a medical patient will receive healing, will step back into health, is if they know, like, and trust the doctor they're working with. So when you're friendly with someone, when you lean in and you really listen to them and engage with them, everything shifts. And there's all kinds of formulas and recipes for doing this. People will talk about mirroring and matching and repeating back their words. But I'm going to give you a shortcut to rapport. And this is what I learned from Mike Mandel. You can let all those techniques and tools go out the window and simply imagine that the person you're speaking with is the most interesting person in the world, and lean in and pay attention to them. You're going to build massive rapport during that session. And this works in group sessions as well. If you do group sessions over Zoom and you're looking at the people on that call and you're sending them love and you're imagining them receiving the resolution they are there to receive, it's so transformational. We are always having two conversations. We're having a conscious mind conversation with the words we're saying, and we're having an unconscious conversation with our 3Bs, with our body language, our breathing, and our beliefs. Because even though you're not saying these things out loud, that person is picking up on these things. And they might not even realize they're picking up on these things, but they are. Their unconscious mind is having a conversation with your unconscious mind. And when you show up and you're asking, what if something amazing is about to happen? Everything shifts. So that's the second ingredient. And then the third is intention. And that really goes along with that's really as simple as thinking, what if something amazing happens? So I think I'm going to go down this little side rabbit trail because I want to, and it's fun. Mike Mandel teaches a fear of flying protocol. And it's one of the very first protocols I practiced when I was a brand new hypnotist. I had actually just quit my job as a hairstylist, and I was at a hair show with all the hairstylists I had worked with, even though I wasn't working there anymore. And on the way back, when we were all in the airport, one of the girls was freaking out. She was having a full-blown meltdown, and she was seriously contemplating going and renting a car and driving home from California to Colorado because she was so afraid to get on the plane. And I walked, I think it was the second hypnotic thing I had ever done. And I was so scared and I felt so insecure. And I'm like, this is my friend and coworker. She's going to think I'm a total idiot. And I just practiced this. I thought, okay, what would Mike Mandel do? That's a really powerful question. Like, what would a person who is good at this do, and do it as them? Know that this is not faking it till you make it. It's unlocking that attribute in yourself. Because if you can see it in someone else, it means that you can be it. Okay, so I used the most confidence I could muster up and said, do you want me to just do a hypnosis protocol? Because they knew I had been studying hypnosis. And I said, do you want me to do a hypnosis protocol that wipes out fear of flying? And she said, yes, please. And she and I had a lot of rapport already. This was a girl who is the age, like about the age of my kids. She was in her early 20s. And so she and I kind of already had a nurturing, trusting relationship. And I set her down we sat down in the middle of the airport. She was leaning up against a pillar, and I just leaned in and I talked to her and I walked her through this protocol. And the reason I'm sharing this with you now is because you can use this to step into intention before your session, to create an intention. And so I had her vividly imagine. I just go straight to the end. I said, okay, I want you to imagine that you are leaving the airport and your boyfriend is there to pick you up, because she told me her boyfriend was going to be there. Imagine seeing your boyfriend and going and giving him a big hug and just being so happy to see him, and then going to the next thing that you're going to do after the airport and just thinking that was such a great flight. And when we do this, it works so well because it takes our conscious mind involvement and effort out of the way and helps us tune the unconscious part of us that's responsible for feeling calm on a plane, for feeling calm during a hypnosis session. It tunes that part of us to do it automatically on our behalf. Intention is so much more powerful than perfection, than having all your ducks in a row and making sure you use the right protocol. It's setting that intention. So then I had her back up and imagine, okay, she's already feeling good. She's feeling how great it's going to be to hug her boyfriend and to feel that awesome feeling. And as she's feeling that feeling, I had her back up and imagine, it's the part of the flight where the wheels have just come down and the pilot is talking about how we're about to land, and you feel the plane touch down and you think, that was an amazing flight. I am so happy with how comfortable I felt during that flight. And then I had her back up and imagine what it would be like, halfway through the flight when the flight attendant is walking up and down the aisle and offering refreshments and just feeling really good, and then backing up to takeoff and feeling really good. So by going backwards through the event, again, it's taking the conscious involvement out of the way by having her feel good. And you could even do that by having her adjust her 3Bs and feel good while she's thinking about that flight. It's programming her mind to start making pictures of a positive outcome instead of thinking, what if the plane crashes? So I walked her through this and she was feeling so much better. She went from like an anxiety level of 10 to I can't remember anymore, but I want to say it was totally gone. She couldn't find it. So we get on the plane, and there were probably 6 or 7 of us, and we all had different seats on the plane. And I was at the very back of the plane, and she was more towards the front. And you guys, it was the most turbulent flight I have ever been on. It was the scariest flight. And I was thinking, oh my gosh, there's no way this worked. This is going to be a disaster. I tried. She's going to just think I'm an idiot. So I get off the plane. I'm one of the last people off the plane, and she's standing there waiting for me, and her whole face is lit up, and she goes, that was awesome. That was like, I felt so good the whole time. It was totally fine. I actually comforted the lady next to me because she was freaking out. And that was so amazing. And she emailed me several months later and said, I've been on 3 flights since then. I'm totally fine. I enjoy it every time. I remember the exercise we walked through, and I'm fine to fly now. Thank you so much. And the reason I wanted to illustrate that is because this will help it stick in your mind that when you're getting ready to go into a session, whether it's a group session or a one-on-one session, anytime you're getting ready to do something and you want to perform well, don't try to micromanage the process. That is a conscious mind effort that is less effective than trusting that brilliant part of you that knows the things don't know, that is having an unconscious conversation with the person or people in your session that can direct you to say the right things at the right time, to perhaps let something you had planned go and do something else. When you set that intention by vividly imagining an amazing outcome. So when I do this, I'll go all the way to the end and I'll imagine the end of the session. And I'll imagine the people on the call just lighting up and saying, that was amazing. Thank you so much. And seeing the transformation in their 3Bs, in their body language, in their beliefs, in their breathing. And I'll imagine opening my emails later on and seeing all these emails from people saying, thank you so much. That changed my life. I'm so grateful. And by doing that, I don't even back up and go through the call. I just imagine the outcome that I want to happen at the end. And then I adjust my 3Bs to match the 3Bs of someone who is confident and has prestige. So I hope that's helpful. I'm going to try to really briefly go over one other thing that I've been teaching a lot lately. I actually just have done a couple paid sessions about this, so I'm going to give this to you for free. And this is the underlying principle of why change works when it works. And this is based on what I've learned from Mike Mandel. Sorry to keep talking about Mike Mandel. He really is like my hero, my true mentor. Mike Mandel teaches this as ADAC, A-D-A-C, and John Overdurf teaches this as the meta pattern. And I learned it from Melissa Tiers. I haven't actually trained with John Overdurf, but Melissa Tiers has trained with him extensively and teaches what I'm about to share with you as the meta pattern. So anytime a person, and I want to pre-frame this by saying, when it comes to the original question of, okay, what's best, interactive hypnosis or non-interactive hypnosis, conversational hypnosis or deep trance hypnosis? The answer is yes. It's all about intention. And when you understand what I'm about to teach you, you could walk up and say, do you want me to take your fear of flying from you? And they say yes. And if you have prestige and rapport and you've set that intention, you could say, supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Snap your fingers and it's gone. So the reason change works when it works is because you get hyper specific about the exact problem you're wanting to solve. And the way to do that is to bring a person into one specific moment in time when that problem has been a problem. So if a person comes in and they're struggling with anxiety, you say to them, okay, think about the last time specifically when you struggled with anxiety. Where are you? And so notice I'm changing my language from saying where were you to where are you, because I'm talking in the present tense. I want them to vividly imagine being in that place right now. Be there now. See what you see. Hear what you hear when you're here. And feel that feeling of anxiety. And by having them do that at the very start, it's like shining a spotlight for the unconscious mind that says, this is the thing I'm ready to let go of. So it's really important, please hear me, it's really important the first A of ADAC is associate. It's really important to associate them into a specific moment when they have experienced that problem. And you do that by just with your words, by directing them. Imagine that it's easy, set an intention that they can go there. If they say, well, I'm always anxious, say, oh, well, then this will be really easy for you. So just go to the last time specifically that you noticed yourself feeling anxious, and then just use that languaging. See what you see when you are here. And this is kind of a hypnotic command, when you are here, and feel what you feel and hear what you hear. This shines a spotlight for the unconscious mind that says, this is the problem I'm ready to transform. And even though you're only going into one specific instance, the unconscious mind maps that across to all the other instances when they experience anxiety and starts to generate healing in those places as well. So the D from ADAC is dissociate, which means to take them back out of that place now. And this is so easy, you guys. You can do it simply by saying, okay, look around the room and find 3 things that are blue. Because a person two things cannot occupy the same place at the same time. And if a person is looking for blue things in the room, they're not thinking about how anxious they were yesterday or where that anxiety was. Now, I want to really quickly touch on something, which is oftentimes when a person comes to us for hypnosis, they're there because of what's called an initial sensitizing event. It's like a trauma from the past that has made them sensitive to events in the future, that they keep reliving that trauma in their mind, and it's affecting their life in a negative way. Rather than associating them into the trauma itself, you are associating them into the last time the trauma was a problem. So the last time they were in a situation where they were thinking, oh, I'm just not good enough because of this thing that's happened in the past. I hope that's clear. This is something I've actually just recently gotten clarity on. So please feel free to click that little paper airplane on the side and ask questions if you have any questions, or raise your hand at the end of this room. So we've got our first two steps: associate, dissociate. So we're associating into the problem to light up the neural pathway that says this is what we're ready to change. And then we dissociate them by saying, okay, I'm right here in the room, everything is okay. You can dissociate someone really quickly by shifting their 3 Bs. And if you're watching the 3 Bs, this is called calibrating. And this is another thing Mike Mandel taught that's so important. When you're actually paying attention to the way they're responding, you're going to see their 3 Bs change to match the problem. So if they're really doing this, if they're really in that last time they experienced anxiety, you might see their breathing become more high in the chest. You might see their shoulders tense up. You might see their brows furrow. And you're going to notice them adjusting their 3 Bs, their posture, to match anxiety. And so to dissociate them, it can be as easy as having them adjust their 3 Bs. And you can do that in the way I walked you through earlier in this room. And I know some of you have walked in, since I started this room, walked in, sat in. I do have the replay turned on for this room, so you can go back and look at it later, listen to it later. Okay, so that next A, this is the cool part. This is where it gets really awesome. So the next A is associate into the resource, the thing that they want to experience instead. And this is virtually impossible when a person is associated into the problem. So if a person comes in your office and they're wringing their hands and maybe they're crying because they're talking about something that happened in the past, you must have them step out of that before you can go into this next process. And it can be as simple, like Melissa Tears, she's this New Yorker. She's very, she's very to the point. She'll say, stop, and hold up her hand. Or if you guys think of the Bob Newhart skit, if you've seen the Bob Newhart skit, where he says, stop it. This is what you need to do. And you can do it very gently, but have them adjust their 3 Bs, because if a person is in that resourceful 3 Bs resource that I walked you through earlier, they can't be stuck in the problem at the same time. So as you adjust their body language and you have them get in this resourceful place, you can ask them the question, okay, what do you want to experience instead? And if they say anything, and they very well may, I think this happens more often than not, if they say, well, I won't feel anxious anymore. I won't be afraid of flying anymore. I won't keep reliving that trauma anymore. They're still making a picture with their words of the problem. They're making a picture with their words of the things that they don't want. And when we talk about what we don't want, we actually tune our unconscious mind to give us more of that thing, because the unconscious mind cancels the words do not or don't want and just looks at the words that come afterwards. So my favorite question, I know you who have been in my clubhouse rooms a few times have heard me share this, but I'm going to share it again. My favorite question is to say, okay, when that anxiety, and here I am holding my hands in front of me as if I'm holding anxiety, and I'm using the word that. I'm not saying your anxiety. I'm not saying this anxiety. That is part of a way of dissociating someone from the anxiety. When that anxiety, and I'm holding it here in my hand, is a thing of the past, and I push this out to the past, like I just push it to the side, like, oh, it just disappeared. And then I'll hold my empty hand in front of me and say, what amazing thing will be there in its place? And then I have this empty hand. I've given them a visual representation of there now being a void where that anxiety used to be. And what are we going to fill this with now? And you'll often watch them move their eyes around and look around and say, oh, I've never thought about that before. Well, I guess I would feel calm. I would feel peaceful. If there was turbulence, I would realize that I'm okay. And oftentimes, the more simple it could be, the more simple a person makes this statement, the more you realize it's been generated on an unconscious level, because it will be simple as, I guess I would just feel okay, or I would I would just feel calm, or I would I can't even think of any other examples. It can be really simple. The unconscious mind, the part of us that generates healing on our behalf, is a nonverbal part, and when we do turn that healing into words, it's usually simple and somewhat childlike. So these long convoluted affirmations, those are conscious mind constructs. The most effective affirmations, there's one I've learned from Louise Hay. This is one of my favorite affirmations, and it is just simply, all is well. All is well. Another one that I love is, I am here. Because when we're here, we aren't we aren't in the future thinking about the plane crashing. We aren't in the past thinking about that stupid thing we did that's making us feel depressed now. We're right here, and there is peace in the present moment. So you have them, when they say, okay, what would you like to experience instead? They might say, well, I want to feel confident. And so you simply walk them through a 3Bs exercise of feeling confident. You can have them adjust their language to their body language, their breathing, and whatever it is that they're saying them to themselves to match confidence. You can have them think about a time when they felt supremely confident and go back into that time. So you associate them into that time when they felt confident. You can have them think about another person who's really confident and vividly imagine what that person's 3Bs would look like, and then step into those 3Bs themselves and take on that confidence as if it's their own. So this is what I did when I first started hypnosis. Is I would show up to my hypnosis sessions as Mike Mandel, and I knew that I was nothing like Mike Mandel, but I thought, okay, he knows how to do it. And I know that we learn best by modeling others. We learn everything we've done by modeling others. Somebody modeled that anxiety, somebody modeled that depression. We've seen someone else do it, and that's how we learned. And that's the same way you can step into confidence. A lot of it is just giving yourself permission to feel a little bit silly and use this resource in a new setting. And so you're doing the exact same thing for your client by having them think about the thing they want and vividly allow it to take place inside their body. And so when you notice their 3B shift into that of confidence, you say, okay, as you feel this, and here comes the C in ADAC, it's collapse. So you say, as you feel this, go back into that situation that used to be a problem and feel this instead, and notice how things change when you feel this in that situation. So now you're collapsing this resource, you're collapsing confidence into the situation that used to cause anxiety. And you can have them go back to a different time in the past. And as you feel this confidence, and be watching them and make sure they keep that confident 3Bs. As you feel this confidence, go back to another time in the past when you used to feel anxiety, or when you used to experience, or when that anxiety used to be a problem. Like, our words are so powerful. When that anxiety used to be a problem, and feel this instead. Notice how everything changes in that situation when you feel this confidence. And then you can have them go forward to the future, and you can collapse this resource into a future time. Imagine what it's going to be like at the end of today, realizing, and this kind of goes back to that airplane protocol, at the end of the day, realizing that you have been feeling confident ever since this session. Think of all the little moments in the day when you felt good because of this. Imagine what it's going to be like a week from now, a month from now, 10 years from now, looking back at all the times. And as you say, looking back at all the times, in my mind, my intention is that the unconscious mind is eavesdropping on this conversation, as it always is, and plugging in and installing this resource in all the places where anxiety used to be a problem. So now when a person is in that situation that used to spark anxiety, it sparks transformation instead. It sparks calm. It sparks confidence. It sparks a feeling of safety. And that's the intention underneath my words. So even if I don't say this just right, there is no just right way to say it. my intention comes across, there's something woo-woo and energetic going on where I'm having a conversation and telling their unconscious mind, do this. And then you can even say, imagine it's the end of your long, happy life. It's, a long time from now at the end of your life, and you're looking back on the joy that you've experienced, the peace that you've experienced, the calm, the confidence that you've experienced, all because of the change that has happened in this moment. And again, that's an intention. You're speaking with prestige, you're speaking with confidence, you're intending that the unconscious mind, that this person's highest self is installing this resource. And then the final step, which is something I've just added as as people have asked this question, I've looked for more clarity. As a person who really still considers myself a bit of a baby hypnotist, and I say that so if you're a baby hypnotist, you understand that you have permission to start now. And that is to cleanly awaken them from a trance. So if you're doing this conversationally, anytime a person closes their eyes and imagines being in the past, or even with their eyes open and they're zoning out and imagining being anywhere besides right here, they are in a trance. So you can do this, like I said, conversationally. You could do this as part of a deep trance, like put them into a trance first and have them walk through this in a trance. You can have them speak back to you and give you the answers. You can have them come up with the answers in the privacy of their unconscious mind, which is what I do on my group calls, because a lot of times I'll have like a few dozen people on the call and I can't have every one of them answer me. So I'll say, notice the answer to this, answer in the privacy of your mind. You can do this however you want, and it works. It's incredible how well it works. So when you're awakening them from that trance after you have said, okay, all because of what happened in this moment, and Mike Mandel will say, and as you sleep and dream tonight, your unconscious mind can fully install this resource into all the places where it makes the most difference and generates the most healing. So then you'll say, okay, and if their eyes are closed, you can say, you can go ahead and open your eyes and come fully back to this present moment. And then Matt just did this with me the other day when he and I did a session together. Matt, I'm trying to remember what one of the questions was that you asked, but the NLP question that's so ridiculous, I actually don't like this question, but it works, is, do you smell popcorn? Because it's such a random, weird thing. And it also shifts their senses to the sense to smell. So they're coming out of the visual representation, they're coming out of auditory, they're coming out of kinesthetic, and they're going into smell, and it immediately dissociates them from trying to make it to figure out what's happening consciously. Because the more we try to get our conscious mind involved and deconstruct what happens, the more we mess with it. And so you want to just make a really clean delineation between the change work and now the change work is done. And you can do this with your 3Bs, where you just kind of perk up and you model enthusiasm, and you might look out the window and say, wow, it's a really pretty day outside, or what are you going to do later today? And you just take them out and you let the unconscious continue to do that thing without messing with it consciously. Okay, I hope this room has been valuable. I'm really happy I recorded this, because I feel like every time I explain this, I get a little bit more clarity myself about how to do it. One of the biggest lessons that I've learned, and one of the things that has allowed me to build a thriving business in a really short amount of time, is learning the importance of taking action before I'm ready. Waiting to feel ready is the biggest freaking trick of the imposter monster. That keeps us playing small and keeps us in our comfort zone, because sometimes our comfort zone is insecurity. Our comfort zone is anxiety. For me, my comfort zone was depression, and I didn't like it, but it was familiar and it was really easy for me to do. And if you wait to feel comfortable, it's never going to happen. You got to do it first, and the comfort and confidence comes later. And that's why it's so important to give yourself permission to step into confidence, to step into prestige during that session, even if you don't feel it yet, because if you wait to feel it, it's never going to happen. I hope this has been helpful. Thank you so much to the person who asked this question. She asked a follow-up question as well about the consultation. And I love that. I love that question because even though I don't do one-on-one sessions anymore, I can give you some really great stuff that I learned about consultation. And it's actually stuff that I now implement into my group sessions as well, and implement into like sending out surveys to my audience in a way that allows transformation to start to take place during the consultation and allows people to really understand how much you can help them. And a lot of it, I'm just going to give you a sneak peek, is based on the exact same thing I just taught. It's that ADAC. So in the I'm not going to go down this rabbit trail. I'm going to make myself stop talking, but I'll leave this here. I do these clubhouse rooms every Monday and Wednesday at the time it is in your time zone at the top of the hour. And on Wednesday, I will go into this consultation topic and talk about how you can apply what we just learned in this room, that ADAC formula or the meta pattern, to your consultation as a way to make your client, your potential client, so excited about working with you, they can't hardly stand it and they sign up immediately.
Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this presentation, I double dare you to subscribe to my channel and check out the gift I have for you in the captions below.